It takes a lot to make it in sport. It takes even more to make it in motorsport. And Formula One is the pinnacle. More men have been into space than have won a Formula One race. So what are the chances of making it all the way to the top? Guts, talent, flair, luck.
Above all else these days, you have to have money to back you.
It's going to take all of that if one of these young drivers is going to be Britain's next F1 star. In this programme, we hear from the first female to win both a Formula Renault race and a championship.
As soon as you cross the line, you just think, wow, this is just incredible.
Side by side, Alice Powell trying to go through.
Now, Alice Powell is trying to take those next few steps to Formula One.
She's committed to what she does and she's trying to do the best she can.
There comes Alice Powell as well. How is this battle going to unfold towards the flag?
Only 10 British drivers have experienced World Championship glory in over 60 years, but not one of them was a woman.
What Ellen MacArthur has done for sailing, I'd like to do that, for motorsport.
They're brave enough, I'm sure they're smart enough, I'm sure they've got the coordination, but physically at the moment it's quite difficult.
After progressing through karting, Alice has spent the past few years in single-seaters, most successfully in Formula Renault.
Welcome to Brands Hatch. This is my awning where the cars are going to get assembled for the race. This is my car. This is a Formula Renault with a 2-litre Renault engine. Its horsepower is 210 brake horsepower and the top speed is around about 150 mile an hour. Sometimes she's good, sometimes she's bad, but she's getting ready to go out to kick some butt later.
Brands Hatch is one of my favourite tracks. The Indy course, you've only got 4 corners. So if you lose a tenth at this corner, your kind of lap's kind of ruined if you make a mistake. The grids in Formula Renault are so close. There could be, you could gain two tenths and that would jump you up 4 or 5 places. It's such a competitive championship.
Driving at 150 mile an hour, 2.5 inches from the ground, is quite difficult to explain, but it's a great experience.
You're not thinking of, oh my goodness, this is 160 mile an hour, because you're focused on obviously getting to the corner, getting the right lines, gear change, acceleration, braking. You're not thinking about the speed at all. I get on with the team really well. They're like a little family, so I come to the track, we can have some banter, we also get down to business when the racing comes along.
This is Sam. He's my mechanic, so he looks after the car, strips it down back at the workshop, and as always, he does a good job.
There's the 3 mechanics. Then we've got a truckie, which kind of cleans the tyres. He'll go and collect the tyres from Michelin. He'll wash the bodywork, make the lads some tea, fetch the lunch for them and stuff like that. And then there's a team manager that comes for the weekend. And there's my engineer, Sarah. She obviously engineers my car. So she just is obviously very busy throughout a race weekend, getting setups, going through data with us. Mainly the ones for me would be the speed, acceleration, the brake bias to know how hard I'm braking, gears and steering, so I can have a rough idea of what I'm doing well and we can compare it to the rest of us in the team.
And this is our truck area where tea and coffee's made, we've got the fridge, snacks, and we just kind of chill and clean our helmets and get ready.
Motorsport, anything can happen. I could crash, someone could come behind and hit me, or everyone can crash in front and I could go straight through to take the win. You've just got to try and be as positive as possible. Sometimes it's obviously quite difficult if you've had a bad day and you think, oh no, this is not going to go right because I've had a rubbish qualifying, but you've just got to keep positive. I'm so lucky to be able to fulfill, a hobby to hopefully make it into career. I know a lot of kids out there would love to be in my position.
This is where we clean our tyres, so when they come back from the race, they'll have a lot of brake dust in them and they'll be quite dirty, especially if we go off. So they'll just get hosed down, sponged off with soap and ready so they're nice and clean to go back on the car. And this is not what I signed up for.
She was a very annoying child. Very child that always was crying when she was very little.
Alice always required a lot of attention, didn't she?
Yeah.
You always had to keep her occupied. From a very young age, she was on, you know, a bicycle going round and round the garden, pretending to be Michael Schumacher.
I can remember around about age 7, going out into the garden on my bike with my little helmet on, setting up a little course in the garden for me to ride around in. I'd be Michael Schumacher, but I'd also be the commentator, so Murray Walker, and I'd always, well, pretty much win all the time. And at the end of the race, I'd fill up a bottle of water and make a little podium and spray it everywhere because I just won the Formula 1 race in my back garden.
She's very competitive.
She wanted to be first and she wanted to be quickest.
Didn't cross our minds at the time that she'd be a future racing champion. Alice learnt to drive at an early age, about the age of 6. She used to go up onto an old airfield.
I just remember getting in the car, having to learn, but I can't remember, you know, the process of it, and then being able to drive round and round and round in circles.
Sat on cushions behind her, and yeah, it didn't take her long before she actually got used to all the controls of the car, and away she went. All we knew about racing or karting was where you see these karts at the fair. We didn't really know there was any outside competitions or anything like that.
Karting, I think the attraction for me is just the speed. It's quite a competitive sport. You know, generally motorsport is quite competitive, and karting, it feels really, really fast because you're really close to each other.
I remember being absolutely horrified at the speed she was going on this indoor circuit.
It's quite technical as well, with having to move your body to suit to the kart, going around corners, your different driving style for the wet. So many things you've got to think about, which also make it really exciting.
Karting is definitely the route you have to take. It just teaches you not only the racecraft, but the dedication you need. It takes a lot. It's not just a hobby, it's a way of life.
Karting is very dangerous. You're not strapped in or anything, you're just there, so there is that element of danger. Your kart could flip and you would come out of the go-kart.
It was quite scary.
Especially to see this little girl with this massive helmet, and holding, like she was holding on, and holding on for dear life, and just going around the corner so quick. And it was exciting to see your little daughter beat some of the boys.
I kind of was a bit intimidated at first because I was the only girl there surrounded with boys. I was 8 years old, and it really stood out to me.
You definitely get treated differently. You have to work a bit harder. You have to be careful what you do, careful what you say.
It's not the most normal upbringing that a girl would experience. No dolls or horses or Barbie or anything like that. So yeah, I would say it's not your everyday girl's upbringing.
Alice might not have had a regular childhood and has spent her teenage years driving around circuits in the UK and abroad. She hasn't completely forgotten her rural Oxfordshire roots.
Hockey is appealing to me because it keeps you fit, and as racing driver you need to be very fit. I also love the speed of the game. It's quite an aggressive game as well. It doesn't mean I'm an aggressive person, it just adds an element of danger in it. Nearly. I have been put in hospital for hockey once, getting hit in the face with a ball, which wasn't very nice, quite painful, but I still really enjoy the game and coming out and playing.
She's quite calm at times, and then she is competitive with her sport, and she likes to win.
She's a team player, full of encouragement, and will play wherever she's asked to play. She runs and runs and runs. She'll chase the ball, chase back and get it, and then move forward.
Obviously racing takes main priority over hockey, but I really enjoy it. I'm a good group of friends here, so it's great.
These are the trophies that I won when I was racing in Formula Renault. This is my favourite trophy, as it's the trophy I received when I won the Formula Renault BARC Championship in 2010. And here are 2 champagne bottles that I just could not throw away, which I received when I was on the podium in India in 2011. And if you're wondering, yes, spraying champagne is lots of fun.
While the Formula One weekends are dominated by the main event, the Grand Prix, the circuits host support races during the 3 days. It gives young drivers valuable experience of the tracks and a glimpse of the lifestyle of a top F1 star.
Coming over here has opened, hopefully will open so many doors for me. I've made quite a few good contacts. I'm enjoying my time tremendously, and so far I've been loving the track. It's fast flowing, it's just fantastic. The best bit, or one of the best bits, obviously the best bit is racing, but on the road, this makes the journey so interesting. It's an hour and a half to our hotel, but I'll tell you what, it goes so quickly. I was so pleased, obviously, to get on a Formula One podium as well in front of loads of people was very special.
That was my first trip to racing outside Europe, and we managed to finish second, and I had the opportunity to stand on F1 podium for the first time and spray the champagne in front of a fantastic crowd. It was very, very important and a privilege to be able to be the first female to drive on the New Delhi circuit, and also to be standing up on the podium. As female for MRF series to stand up on the podium was very, very special.
So, she's getting the results, but does Alice Powell have what it takes to be Britain's next F1 star? Champion in Formula Renault in 2010, Alice Powell has made the jump to F1 Support Series GP3. It's a vital rung on the ladder to Grand Prix racing.
GP3 is a lot of fun. The adrenaline is fantastic. I know how lucky I am, and I have to say to have the opportunity to race at Monaco as well was brilliant.
There's always that sort of niggling doubt when you're told you've got a girl coming to drive for you as to what you're going to get, but no, she's one of the boys really.
To be part of a Formula One race weekend, going to the same circuits, it is very special. You're in front of the right people, all of the F1 teams. They catch up and watch the races. You have the opportunity when you're in pit lane is to look at some of the cars and also talk to some of the right people as well. So that's something that, obviously coming from Formula Renault, is stood out a lot as well, is racing on the same weekend with huge crowds, great TV coverage too.
The driver's challenge is to get themselves noticed, primarily to the category above, so that they can progress. She has stood out and I've noticed her, but she needs to push a little bit harder to get noticed by more than just me.
Alice has had some good results in the lower formulas in Britain and that, so yeah, she's trying to rise up through the ranks based on merit.
The first thing that stood out when I first drove the car was just the amount of grip, and I'm still getting the confidence, getting used to that, and used to the management of the Pirelli tyres, because Pirelli do make a great tyre but also make it very tricky as a driver, and even for the Formula One drivers, to manage the tyre through the races and manage the tyres across the weekend. One thing that did stand out is the level of engineering, how much more involved the driver is at this level. Obviously it's a bigger car, faster car.
I think she's got that gritty determination that she does want to do well, and she wants to, I won't say necessarily prove a point, but she wants to do the best she can, and obviously there hasn't been a really successful female driver in Europe for quite some while. So I think she wants to fill that role.
Having the challenges of managing tyres, having to learn all the new tracks and try and get up to speed with a car quickly is obviously going to help you tremendously in developing as a driver. We saw obviously Lewis Hamilton when he first went into Formula One. He struggled maybe a little bit, but he obviously was fighting for the championship at the end. Obviously he was lucky to have the resources of a McLaren simulator, whereas in the lower formulas, you don't get those kind of high-tech simulators. So it's tricky, but I love the challenge of it, and I'm really enjoying it.
If Alice makes it to the top, she won't be the first woman to drive in a Grand Prix. Since the 1950s, only a handful have done it, but none has completed a full season, let alone won a race.
When I see the F1 cars, it just makes me so more determined to actually reach Formula One. Obviously, I look at them and think, wow, they're really big. It just makes me feel, wow, that's where I want to be in 3 or 4 years' time is Formula One.
I think it's only a matter of time before you see a female driver get into a Formula One car and produce the goods, and drive at the sharp end of Formula One. It's got to happen one day.
It is still obviously a male-dominated sport, and sort of female drivers are very much in the minority.
When I was British champion in karting, I was the only female. If there's only 1% of females doing karting that low down, then naturally they're not going to make it, because it's a tough game for anybody.
I think it can be done. Whether it's likely to happen, I don't think there's any real standout candidate. You don't see any female driver at the moment going off and winning races in GP3, Formula 3, GP2.
There's not many females around, so if people saw a female in Formula One, they go, hang on a second, there's a female in Formula One. They've just seen it on the news or they've read it somewhere, then they probably tune into Formula One to watch. I think I'd probably get quite good coverage. It'd bring up the views a bit, because more people might want to watch female driving a Formula One car. It's something you don't see every day.
Alice could set a new standard if she were to get into Formula One, or any female driver, if they got into Formula One and really sort of would shine the light for other females to get enthusiastic about racing and take it on as a sport.
Boys have got Lewis Hamilton, Jenson Button, Sebastian Vettel to look up to and aim to be, aspire to be. Whereas the girls kind of look at Formula One and go, well, I want to be like Lewis Hamilton. But if there was a female in there, they I think it would encourage more girls to get involved.
If you can just spark some interest in the young generation coming through, then you'll have a pool of talent coming through in the future.
What Ellen MacArthur has done for sailing, I'd like to do that, for motorsport. Set that role model to make more females aware that it is possible and it can be done, that they can enter the sport.
There are lots of really good female competitors now. Alice Powell I have seen drive, and she is very good. But one of the factors that makes a racing driver is his ability to take risks, and testosterone is a very key ingredient in our willingness to take risks, and men have 20 times more testosterone than females.
Have women got the hand-eye coordination, the speed of response, all those things? Clearly they do. And there's all sorts of comments, I'm sure, in the Formula One paddock to the contrary. But put that aside, I think what the challenge is the physicality of it. The violence in a Formula One cockpit is very extreme indeed.
People always talk about the physical element of driving one of these cars, but I don't see that standing in the way at all for a female driver. Remember, G-force at the end of the day is only your body weight times. So you pull 3 or 4 G, it's just 3 or 4 times your body weight. And if you're light, I'm light, I'm 55 kilos. And it was never really a problem for me.
Those are the low frequency G. Actually, they're getting much higher short duration periods of G as they crash and bang over curbs, and that violence, that heat, that physical load. Now they are, we have power steering, but there's still an enormous amount of core strength that's required.
Driving a Formula One car in many respects is physically easier than driving some of the cars I've driven in the past, like a Formula 3 or Formula 4, which had an H-pad gearbox, and it was a big effort to really muscle those things around the track, or a big heavy GT car or something like that. Formula One car it's a delicate piece of machinery that you drive with your fingertips.
The actual driving is just a part now of a far bigger picture. So I think to get sort of a rounded driver, if you like, particularly a female driver that sort of ticks those boxes, they are few and far between. And Alice she puts a lot of work and a lot of effort into the out of car activity, as well as the the actual driving.
There's still people that think women can't do it. A lot of people say to me, I can't believe you haven't found the funding because you're different, and why wouldn't a company want a girl to make it to Formula One? I've been to so many meetings where managers of companies have said, my wife can't park her car, why would I sponsor a girl?
At this current climate, it's very difficult to find sponsors. Motorsport is expensive, very expensive, and I can imagine a lot has been spent. Yeah, I'm really grateful for my sponsors for spending out a great deal of money, and without them, I wouldn't have been able to race at all.
I know Alice struggles with budget. I think if a girl comes along that has got the backing, it's got the financial backing, then there's no reason to why she won't make it to Formula One.
As a journalist, it's got to be the best story you could ever have. If a woman driver is doing well, it would be just such a wonderful thing. I've seen Formula One have Desiree Wilson. I saw her race in South Africa when she was doing actually in the Grand Prix. Davina Galitsa was in Formula One. It's great because it's just good to see. It's very good for business, if you like, from the media. Certainly all the tabloid papers would absolutely love it. It would be a great, great story.
The more female drivers we see coming along, the better the chances are of finding someone that can get right to the top.
For me, F1 is the ultimate goal.
I'm sure any Formula One team worth its salt, if a woman driver was good enough and had the credential and was clearly winning championships, was doing a good job, they would certainly consider her, no question.
I haven't seen one yet. That doesn't mean I'd be very happy to find one, but we haven't found one yet.
Whether it's fair to put girls in the same competition as guys, I don't know. You wouldn't expect a female tennis player to win Wimbledon. So it's an interesting question.